Good morning, everybody. In this session, we are going to continue the lesson number 7, structural organization in animals. Structural organization in animals. Some slides already I had shown you. I will show one more time that animal tissue. A tissue is a group of similar cells having a specific function and origin. A tissue is a group of similar cells having a specific function and origin. Basically, there are 4 types of tissue in complex organisms. They are epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, neural tissue. In that already we had learned epithelial tissue, we had learned the connective tissue also we have completed. Now we are going, in this session we are going to learn about the muscular tissue. So in this lesson we are learning about the animal tissues. A tissue is a group of similar cells having a specific function and origin. Having a specific function and origin. Animal tissues are basically divided into 4. They are epithelial tissues, connective tissues, muscular tissues, neural tissues. In that animal tissues, epithelial tissue and connective tissue already we have completed in 2 sessions. Today in this session we are going to learn about the muscular tissue. Muscular tissue. Like that 4 tissues are there. Epithelial tissue already we had learned. Connective tissue also completed. These are loose connective tissue, areolar tissue, adipose tissue, and dense connective tissue, dense irregular, specialized connective tissue in that cartilage, bone and blood. Up to now that we have already learned that connective tissue. This much again. Now we are continuing with the muscular tissue. As the name indicates, muscular tissue associated with the muscles only. Muscle. Everybody knowing muscle. Muscle is associated with the skeletal system. Each muscle is made of many long cylindrical fibers, arranged in parallel rays only. Arranged in parallel rays. Muscles are shown here. That these are the different type of muscles shown here. So, what told about the muscle? Each muscle is made of many long cylindrical fibers arranged in parallel arrays, parallel groups, arranged in parallel groups. These fibers are composed of numerous fine fibrils called myofibrils. The fibers are composed of numerous fine fibrils called myofibrils. Muscle fibers contract in response to stimulation. Muscle fibers. The most important property of muscle fiber is its contraction only. Means it responds to the stimulus. According to the stimulus, it responses. That response is showing in the way of contraction only. So the most important characteristic of a muscle fiber is its contraction. Muscle fibers contract in response to stimulation, then relax. First contract means that is shortened, and afterwards it relax and return to their uncontracted state in a coordinated fashion. So first contraction will be takes place in response to stimulation, then relax and return to their uncontracted state in a coordinated fashion. Their action moves the body to adjust to the changes in the environment. Their action, because of this contraction and relaxation, muscle help us to move. So, and we can adjust our body to changes in the environment and to maintain the positions of various parts of the body. That is its function only. The action of muscles moves the body to adjust it to the changes in the environment and to maintain the positions of the various parts of the body. In general, muscle play an active role in the movements of the body. So generally we can say that muscle play an active role in the movements of the body. So these are the general introduction towards the muscle. Muscles are meant for movement of the body. So there are three types of muscles are there. Muscles are of three types. Muscles are of three types. Which are the three types of muscles? Skeletal muscle, smooth muscle and cardiac muscle. Muscles are of three types. Muscles are of three types. Skeletal muscles, smooth muscles and cardiac muscles. Skeletal muscles, smooth muscles and cardiac. Skeletal muscle, as the name indicates, skeletal muscle is associated with bones and cartilage. Skeletal system. Skeletal muscles are the muscles associated with the skeletal system. Associated with the skeletal system, and smooth muscles are the muscles associated with internal organs. Smooth muscles are the muscles associated with the internal organs, visceral organs, internal organs like heart, kidney, like that internal organs. And cardiac muscles entirely on the heart only. Cardiac muscles are the muscles seen only in the heart. So muscles are of three types: skeletal muscles, smooth muscles and the cardiac muscle. Skeletal muscle tissue is closely attached to skeletal bones. Skeletal muscle tissue is closely attached to skeletal bones. In a typical muscle such as biceps, striated skeletal muscle fibers are bundled together in a parallel fashion. In a typical muscle such as biceps, striated skeletal muscle fibers are bundled together in a parallel fashion. A sheath of tough connective tissue, a sheath of tough connective tissue encloses several bundles of muscle fiber. Encloses several bundles of muscle fiber. So three types of muscles are shown in this diagram. Muscle tissue in that. The first one is skeletal muscle tissue. Skeletal muscle tissue. Smooth muscle tissue, and this is the cardiac muscle tissue. So three types of muscle tissue are there: skeletal muscle tissue, smooth muscle tissue and the cardiac muscle. So already we had learned about the skeletal muscle tissue associated with the skeletal system of the body. They are bundled together in parallel fashion. A tough outer covering is also there, and many striations are seen. Strata means layers are seen. The detail of this structure is given in another lesson only, so it is not distributed so much, described so much here. As a muscle, three type of muscle like that only, from the periphery only it is told like that. More detail about we will be learning in the chapter 20 only. A sheath of tough connective tissue encloses several bundles of muscle fiber. So skeletal tissue is closely attached to skeletal system, especially bones. And in a typical muscle such as biceps, striated skeletal muscle fibers are bundled together in a parallel fashion. A sheath of tough connective tissue encloses several bundles of muscle fiber. You will learn more about in this chapter 20. Many structural differentiations are there in these three muscles, so that we will learn in the lesson number 20. Now we are going to the next type of muscle, that is the smooth muscle. As the name indicates, very smooth it is, means there is no layer-like arrangement is not there. Very smooth only you can see in this diagram how in skeletal muscle striations are there, like that strata or layers are not in the smooth muscle. Both the ends are tapering only. Tapering means narrowing. Both the ends are tapered. So it is called fusiform. Both the ends are tapering. That shape is called fusiform. And do not show striations. Cell junctions hold them together. Cell junctions hold them together, and they are bundled together in a connective tissue. Connective tissue sheath. They are bundled together in a connective tissue sheath. The wall of internal organ, already I told that the smooth muscles are seen in associated with the visceral organs like internal organs such as the blood vessels, stomach, intestine contain this type of muscle tissue. Smooth muscles are involuntary as their functioning cannot be directly controlled. Skeletal muscles are voluntary only, because when we want to move our hand or leg, that time we can move and we can stop the movement also, because the skeletal muscles are voluntary in function only. Voluntary means functioning according to our will. Functioning according to our will or wish. But skeletal muscle, as it is associated with visceral organs or internal organs, according to our wish or will, we cannot be control them. So they are involuntary in their function. So smooth muscles are involuntary as their functioning cannot be directly controlled. We usually are not able to make it to contract merely by thinking about it, as we can do with our skeletal muscle. We usually are not able to make it to contract merely by thinking about it, as we can do with the skeletal muscles. Cardiac muscle tissue. This is cardiac muscle tissue. Is contractile tissue. Cardiac muscle tissue is a contractile tissue only. Contractibility is the nature of all the muscle present only in the heart. This cardiac is the word only associated with the heart. So cardiac muscle tissue is a contractile tissue present only in the heart. Cell junction fuse the plasma membranes of the cardiac muscle. Cell junctions fuse this one. Cell junction fuse the plasma membrane of the cardiac muscle and stick them together. Stick them together. This is plasma membrane also fused because of the cell junction. Plasma membrane of cell junction, through cell junction, plasma membrane of the different cells are fused and stick together. Communication junctions, that is the intercalated disc at some fusion points, allow the cells to contract as a unit only. So communication junctions, that is, this is called as intercalated disc. These are intercalated disc only. So this intercalated disc, some phase allows the cell to contract as a unit. The cell to contract as a unit. When one cell receives a signal to contract, its neighbors are also stimulated to contract. It means as a whole it to contract. The contractibility is the main nature of all the muscle, especially cardiac muscle. When one muscle receives a signal to contract, its neighbors are also stimulated to contract. So we are now learning about the muscle tissue. There are three types of muscle tissue are there: skeletal muscle tissue, smooth muscle tissue, and the cardiac muscle tissue. Smooth muscle tissue and the cardiac muscle. Three types of muscle tissue are there: cardiac muscle tissue, skeletal muscle tissue, and the nerve and cardiac muscle tissue, skeletal muscle tissue, and the smooth muscle tissue are the three types of muscle tissue. Now we will learn about the nervous tissues only we are going to learn about. Neural tissue. Neural tissue exerts the greatest control over the body's responsiveness to changing condition of life. Body's response, how to respond against a stimuli, that through neural tissue. This neural tissue is spread all over the body of the organism. Neural tissue exerts greatest control over the body's responsiveness to changing conditions. Neurons, the unit of neural system. Neurons are the nervous cell or neurons are the unit of nervous system, are excitable cells only. Two things we had learned about the neural tissue. The body's responsiveness to changing conditions. The body's responsiveness to changing condition. And neurons, the unit of neural system, are excitable cells. The neuroglial cell, which constitutes the rest of the neural system, protect and support the neurons. Protect and support neurons. So the neuroglial cell, which constitutes the nest of the neural system. Two types of cells are there in the neural system: neurons and neuroglial cell. Neurons and neuroglial cell. Two types of cells are there: neurons and neuroglia. Neuroglia make up more than 1/2 the volume of the neural tissues in our body. Neuroglia are more in number. There are two types of cell in nervous system or neural tissues. Two types of neural cell are there. One is neuron, that you may be learned in smaller classes. This next one is neuroglial cells only. Neuroglial cells. These neuroglial cells are make up more than 1/2 the volume of the neural tissue. More than 1/2 means it is more in number compared to neuron. So neural tissue exerts the greatest control over the body's responsiveness to changing conditions. Body's responsiveness to changing conditions. Neurons, the unit of neural system, are excitable cells. The neuroglial cell, which constitutes the rest of the neural system, protect and support the neurons. Neuroglia make up more than 1/2 the volume of neural tissues in our body. Neuroglia make up more than 1/2 the volume of neural tissues in our body. When a neuron is suitably stimulated, an electrical disturbance is created which will travel along its plasma membrane. When a neuron is suitably stimulated by any stimuli like that, light, touch, heat, like that any stimuli, an electrical disturbance is generated which swiftly travels along its plasma membrane. Arrival of the disturbance at the neuron sending or output zone triggers events that may cause stimulation or inhibition of adjacent neurons and the other cells. Arrival of the disturbance at the neuron sending portion. Neurons ending or output zone triggers events that may cause stimulation or inhibition of adjacent neurons and the other cells. So the structure of neuron is described in another lesson, that is nervous system. It is described and is functioning also described. Now see the diagram that any processor cell body is there. This is the main cell body of the neuron. Nucleus is also present. It is a nucleated cell only. And many processes are arising from the main cell body. Among that, one is very long, that one is called axon. One is long process, that is called the axon. In every neuron, only one axon will be there. But many short processes are there. Many short processes are there. They are calling us dendrite. They are calling us the dendrite. Axon and dendrite. Cell body and processes are there. A neuron has two parts, cell body and different processes arising from the cell body. Cell body is nucleated one only. In addition to that, mitochondria, micelle granule, cytoplasm is also present in cell body. And many processes arising from the cell body, in that one is longer than the other. The longer process is called axon and the smaller processes are called as dendrite. The working of this neuron is described in another lesson, that is nervous tissues are explained there. Nervous system we will be learn more about this one. So arrival of the disturbance at the neurons ending. Neurons are ending with the axon and the dendrite. So disturbance at the neurons ending or output zone triggers events that may cause stimulation or inhibition of adjacent neurons and the other cells only. So we had 4 basic type of cells only we had completed now. Which are the 4 basic type of cells? Epithelial cell, connective cells, muscle tissue and the neural tissue. Muscle tissue and the neural tissue. This epithelial tissues, connective tissues, muscular tissue and the neural tissue, animal tissue. In every animal, these 4 type of tissues maximum. In complex organism, these 4 type of basic tissues are present. Epithelial tissues, connective tissues, muscular tissues and the neural tissues. So we have completed this portion. Now we are going to learn about some organ and organ system. Now cells learn the tissues learned. So tissue combined together to form organs only, and organ combined together to form organ system only. So now we will be learn about some organs and the organ system. So organ and organ system, the basic tissue mentioned above, which are the 4 basic tissue already we had learned. The basic tissue mentioned above organized to form organs which in turn associated to form organ systems in the multicellular organs. The basic tissues mentioned above organized to form organs which in turn associated to form organ systems in the multicellular organism. Such an organization is essential for more efficient and better coordinated activities of millions of cells constituting an organism. The basic tissues mentioned above organized to form organs, which in turn associated to form organ systems in the multicellular organism. Such an organization is essential for more efficient and better coordinated activities of millions of cells constituting an organ. Each organ in our body is made of one or more type of tissue. Each organ in our body is made of one or more type of tissue. For example, our heart. Suppose our heart consists of all the 4 type of tissues are there in the heart. Which are the 4 type of tissue already we had learned are epithelial, connective, muscular and neural. So in particular organ, more than one type of tissue can be present because tissue combined together to develop an organ. So as an example, in heart, all the 4 basic type of tissues are present like epithelial, connective, muscular and neural. We also notice after some careful study that the complexity in organ and organ system displays certain discernible trend only. We also notice after some careful study that the complexity in organ and organ systems displays certain discernible trend. This discernible trend is called the evolutionary trend. This discernible trend is also called the discernible trend. You are being introduced to morphology and anatomy of 3 organisms at different evolutionary levels. How these organs are developing, how organ systems are developing, and how much tissue can be. It is not necessary that all these 4 type of basic tissue present in all the organisms. So 3 different levels of organism by keeping in mind the evolutionary sequence are given in the lesson. Morphology refers to study or form of externally visible features. Morphology refers to study of form or externally visible features. In the case of plants or microbes, the term morphology precisely means only in this. In case of animals, this refers to the external appearance of the organs or parts of body The word anatomy conventionally is used for the study of morphology of internal organs in the animals. You will learn the morphology and anatomy of earthworm, cockroach and frog, representing invertebrates and vertebrates. Earthworm from lower to higher level, earthworm, then cockroach, then frog, representing invertebrates and vertebrates. So first we will be start with earthworm. Earthworm is a reddish brown terrestrial invertebrate only. All of you see the earthworm. So earthworm is a reddish brown color, terrestrial only, living in land only, invertebrate that inhabits the upper layer of the moist soil. Upper layer of the moist soil. During daytime, they live in burrows only. During daytime, it lives inside the burrows by boring and swallowing the soil. They are making a burrow by boring and swallowing that soil. That soil is their food only. From that soil, it absorbs the mineral which are present in the soil and defecate in the soil like that. So in the gardens, they can be traced by their fecal deposit. This defecation, the soil eating, and what are present, what are the minerals present in that will be absorbed by the body and again defecating the soil. That fecal deposits known as worm casting, we can be say. If worm casting present in a particular area, it shows that earthworm are present there. Worm castings present in a worm casting present in a particular area means the earthworm is present there. The common Indian earthworms are Pratima and Lumbricus. Pratima and Lumbricus. Morphology. Earthworms have a long cylindrical body only. Earthworms have a long cylindrical body. See the earthworm's body only. Long cylindrical body. Dorsal view also given. Ventral view also given. Lateral view showing the mouth opening also shown. Three diagrams are shown for the earth. So earthworm have a long cylindrical body. The body is divided into more than 100 short segments. More than 100 short segments which are similar only. Similar means all the segments containing same organs. Same organs. How many organs are present in one segment? Those many organs will be present in the other segment. Like that, segmentation is called the metamer. Metamer segmentation we had learned in phylum Annelida because earthworm belongs to the phylum Annelida only. So in phylum Annelida already we had learned the metameric segmentation. Metamer is 100 to 120 in number. It varies from 100 to 120. The dorsal surface of the body is marked by a dark median. How we can find out the dorsal body? We can find out the dorsal part of the body by a dark median mid-dorsal line only. Dark median mid-dorsal line. Here the diagram seeing the dark median mid-dorsal line. So if this line is seen, it can be understood that this is the dorsal side of this organism. So dorsal side can be identified by mid-dorsal line along the longitudinal axis of the body. The ventral surface is distinguished by the presence of genital openings only. The ventral surface is distinguished by the presence of genital opening. Anterior end consists of the mouth. Anterior end consists of the mouth and the prostomium, a lobe which serves as a covering for the mouth and as a wedge to force open cracks in the soil into which the earthworm may crawl. Anterior end consists of the mouth and the prostomium, a lobe which serves as a covering for the mouth and as a wedge to force open cracks in the soil into which the earthworm may crawl. The prostomium is sensory in function only. Prostomium is the first segment. It is sensory in function only. So it is sensory in function means when it touches the soil, that feeling can be experienced by the earthworm. So prostomium is the first segment. The covering over the mouth opening only. Prostomium is the first segment, and it is sensory also. Feeling can be experienced. When it touches on the soil, that feeling can be experienced by the earthquake. So ventral surface is distinguished by the presence of genital openings, anterior end consists of the mouth and the prostomia, a lobe which serves as a covering for the mouth and as a vegetative force, open cracks in the soil into which the earthworm may fall. The prostomium is sensory in function. The first body segment is called the peristomium. First body segment is called the peristomium, which contains the mouth. In a mature whale, segments are peristomium. See that the peristomium. First segment is peristomium, and prostomium is a projection which is covering the mouth. 14 to 16 are covered by a prominent dark band of glandular tissue called the clitellum. This is the clitellum. It is prominent, somewhat larger and specified region. Dark color it is. 14 to 16 the segment it is. Thus the body is divisible into three prominent regions. The body before the clitellum is called the preclitellar region. This is the preclitellar region. Before the clitellum is called the preclitellar region, and then clitellar region. Then after the clitellum it is called the postclitellar region. Post means after. So body is divisible into three prominent regions: preclitellar, clitellar, and postclitellar. Four pairs of spermathecal apertures are situated on the ventrolateral sides of the intersegmental grooves only. Ventrolateral sides only. 5th to 9th segment. A single female genital pore is present in the mid-ventral line of the 14th segment. Mid-ventral line of 14th segment. Female genital pore. These are the genital papillae, means male genital aperture. This is the female central clitellum. 14th segment it is present. And ventrolateral sides of the 18th segment. Numerous minute pores called nephridiopores. Numerous minute pores called nephridiopores open on the surface of the body. In each body segment, except the first, last, and clitellum, there are rows of S-shaped setae. Setae it cannot be because it is very minute only, so it is not seen in the diagram. But setae present on both the lateral sides, embedded in the epidermal pits in the middle of each segment. Setae can be extended or retracted by using the setae is using for the locomotion only. So setae are embedded in the epidermal pit only, embedded in the epidermal pit. So it is not visible in the diagram there. So which are the segments setae not seen? First segment, last segment, and the clitellum. First, last, and the clitellum. There are rows of, in all other segments, there are rows of S-shaped setae embedded in the epidermal pits in the middle of each segment. Setae can be extended or retracted. Their principal role is in locomotion. Understood? Anatomy we will learn in next session.